Hey, thanks for joining me again. Remember, the reason why we're here together is because you had a chance to see one of my presentations taking the mystery out of stalled deals. I told you once the Red Flag Advantage, my company, was created for sales organizations and sales leaders just like you, who are looking to improve sales performance. So today, we're going to talk about overcoming one of the biggest roadblocks of sales performance. We're going to talk about how to acquire clients faster and begin doing it with less effort. And what's that roadblock? Stalled deals. You recall in the previous presentation, you heard me talk about how to use the compass, how to use the red flag compass to actually see how stalled deals happen. Today, I want to go a little further. I want to begin to teach you how to use the compass to improve the effectiveness of your daily sales conversations. And after you're done, here's my promise. You can begin to apply what I teach you on how to avoid stalled deals on your very next selling opportunity. So with that said, let me share with you what I know to be one of the biggest roadblocks in learning the compass more effectively. Don't make the mistake of understanding the compass being the same as being able to go use the compass. Understanding something and going doing something, they're not the same. No more than understanding the game of baseball and playing the game of baseball professionally. They aren't the same. So think of the compass as nothing more than the playing field. Your playing field, the sales playing field, just like the baseball diamond is to the professional athlete. Or maybe a chessboard, as it is to the chess master. Those are nothing more than playing fields. So just like the areas of mastery in baseball and chess, the areas of mastery in using the red flag compass is no different. And today I want to share with you one of the 4 pillars of compass mastery. This is the area that we call the professional mindset. So in this video, I'm going to begin with helping you change your thinking. In other words, changing your mindset. Changing your mindset around what you think you know to be true. And you can use this new mindset to guide you through 3 vital sales conversations. Ready? Quadrant 1. Quadrant 1 on the compass is where your first conversations will typically start. And the thing that's going on there, the buyer's asking you, why should they change? In quadrant 2, they're asking, why should I change now? And in the third conversation, the third quadrant, it's why with you, in that order. All successful sales will go through these 3 stages. In other words, there are 3 evolutions to every sale, and it doesn't matter what you're selling. So let me break it down for you. In quadrant 1, we've introduced ourselves to a new buyer. And we're looking at the buyer's specific needs. He or she's thinking about, why should I even change? Why should I change what I'm doing? It's been working for me so far. So in quadrant 1, the seller, you're helping the buyer understand why should they even change what they're doing? Why should they do something different? In other words, you're pinpointing something that's either broken, something that's outdated, or something that's getting in the way of what that buyer really wants to achieve. Now remember, in some cases, the buyer may not even be aware that there's a problem. So pinpointing the buyer's specific challenges, pinpointing those problems or those roadblocks, see, they become the answers to the first question the buyer's asking, why should I change? So in quadrant 2, totally different. Now they're asking, okay, I got it. Why should I change now though? What's the urgency? Why don't I fix this in 6 months? Why don't I call you back? It's a totally different conversation from quadrant 1. So you've identified some things in quadrant 1 that aren't working so well. And now's the time to show them they need to fix it. What's the cost? What's the consequences? And what's the risk if they don't fix this? In other words, what's the impact if they stay the same? So at 6 o'clock, the 6 o'clock position in quadrant 2, they're making the decision to either fix or not fix. If they decide to fix, they're saying, I don't want to stay status quo. I want to fix this. I want a solution. And they're ready to look at options. And it's important to know which quadrant your buyer is in at all times. This way, you know where the game is being played. See, in quadrant 3, they're asking, why should I change with you? So stop for a minute. Let's go back. In quadrant 1, what were they asking? Why change now? Why change? We pinpointed the problems, the roadblocks that are getting in the way of what they want. In quadrant 2, we had a different discussion. That discussion was around the impact of staying status quo. In other words, we helped them understand the cost, the consequences, and the risk if they stayed status quo and didn't change. So now, let's move to quadrant 3. See, in quadrant 3, we're dealing with a totally different buyer. In quadrant 3, you're dealing with a buyer that's already made the decision for change. So they've decided to fix the problem. They've decided that they're not staying status quo. They understand the cost, consequences, and risk. And at this point, and only this point, you begin to contrast your recommendations with what they're currently doing. Now the buyer's asking, why should I change with you? Or simply, why you? Why are you the best fit? Why not do this with somebody else? There's no way you're the only provider. So that's the quadrant 3 conversation. So you can see how each quadrant is distinctly different and a distinctly different conversation. And if you get them out of order, you will compromise a perfectly good selling opportunity. And you will be playing your most important game at a severe disadvantage. So here's the bonus tip. Ready? Red Flag's research shows, and I've talked to you about this before, it shows that if you piled up every stalled deal your company's ever had, 85% of that pile exists for one of only 2 reasons, and only 2 reasons. The first reason, number 1, the prospect didn't see the problem being big enough to fix. Think about that. If you don't see the problem being big enough to do something about, then you won't take action on it. And now let's put it back on your plate. In other words, you actually gave a prospective client a recommendation for change. You gave them advice to a problem that they weren't ready to fix. You actually gave a solution to a problem that a prospective client had. They didn't even decide they wanted to fix it yet. There's no wonder the deal got stalled. The second reason, number 2, this is the buyer that thinks your solution won't work. This buyer, remember, doesn't fit so squarely in the box, not like buyer number 1. These two are totally different. This buyer's saying, I don't believe your solution will work. I want to fix it, but I don't believe your solution is the right one. So they don't believe your solution is the right fit. They believe that your solution, there's something not working for them. And if you want to understand how to avoid stalled deals and how to get better at unlocking existing stalled deals, make them unstuck, then we need to go back and map these 2 different types of buyers to the compass and the quadrants. So here's my pro tip. This is what I know. Top salespeople, they discern the difference between these 2 types of buyers. They are not the same. Let's take a closer look. The first buyer, who doesn't see the problem being big enough to fix, they can be found in, ready, quadrants 1 or quadrants 2. Now the second buyer, they're actually telling you they do want to fix the issue. Where does that put them? That puts them squarely in quadrant 3. In other words, they want the solution. They want a solution. So by contrast, the first buyer is saying they're not ready to fix. They're not looking for a solution to the problem. The second buyer is saying, yeah, I'm ready. I want to see a solution. Now that you know what quadrant each of these 2 buyers in, now you can determine which of the 3 conversations that I coach you on to begin having with them. So here's the formula. Here's the formula to taking a stalled deal and converting it into a buyer. Here's the formula to avoiding client procrastination. Step 1, which of the 2 types of stalled deals is it? Step 2, now that you know what type of stalled deal it is, plot it on the compass. In other words, which quadrant is the game being played in? And remember, the significance of this is that you can't fix something that you can't see. So plotting the case accurately allows you to see the game. And in step 3, you use the quadrant position to guide your conversations. So at this point, let me wrap it up with this. Let me share with you something that we often say at Red Flag. That getting new clients does not need to be that difficult. And I'm not being a smart aleck. So my hope is that I've challenged you enough today to start to rethink your craft and rethink your daily selling activities. We use the compass at Red Flag every single day to help our clients master their craft. So here's to you, winning more frequently, Here's to you raising the bar, and here's to you becoming unstoppable. I wish you Godspeed and good wishes on your journey of mastering your craft.